your host, Andrew Romanella.
When you play Battle in Mario Kart and you don't turn off any of the items, there are bananas everywhere. I mean, it's like you're losing your balloons because you're slipping on bananas left and right. Bananas everywhere.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of The Rome Show here on 12ouncesports.com, broadcasting live on YouTube and X. I am your host, Andrew Romanella. We are shooting from on location, as we have done so many times in the history of The Rome Show, Long Beach Island, New Jersey. That's our favorite on location place to be. And today, Monday, July 28th, 2025, we continue our 32 teams in 32 days National Football League training camp. The music, Sunday football, it's coming up. And what we are doing, we started this on Wednesday of last week. We are breaking down a new NFL team each day leading up to the start of the NFL season, the first week of September. Because we missed a few days because vacation last week, we will be covering two teams today in the NFC West. That would be the San Francisco 49ers and the Arizona Cardinals. Before we get into any of that action, we remind you, head us up on the social media, The Rome Show 1, Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok. That's The Rome Show, then the number 1, or the mothership 12OZ Sports. That's the number 12OZ Sports. If you want to hear any of our NFL training camp breakdowns and our predictions on each team, go to the Rome Show podcast wherever you listen to your podcast, and you can replay any show, more specifically the ones getting you ready for the 2025 NFL season. Why? Why are we doing this? Why is this something that the Rome Show wants to take on as we get ready for the National Football League? Well, because so much is invested fanship-wise in the National Football League. It's not just being a fan of football. There's so much more that goes into it. One, so many people play fantasy football. That is a gigantic aspect of the National Football League starting. Secondly, I would say that majority of people that are sports wagering on any sport probably choose football as the number one sport to wager. I think the prop bets are a little bit more fun. I think there's so many more things you can put your moolah down on, or bananas, as we talk about on this show. Those two aspects right there make football such a popular sport. Then you add on what Sunday's like: 1 o'clock slate, 4 o'clock slate, 8:25, your Thursday night football, your Monday night football. Forget being in person. We haven't even entertained going to a tailgate, sitting in the parking lot, grilling up the food, getting there at 8:30 in the morning for a 1 p.m. kickoff. All of those things are what people so look forward to during the National Football League season. And so many times in the history of this show, almost 7 years now, I've talked about how football is now America's pastime. And over the next 5 weeks, you're going to realize even more so why it is. If the last 11 months of coverage, well, not 11, if the last 6 months of coverage in the offseason don't show you the indicator that people care about this sport over everything else, you're not watching sports. Okay, so we break it down for you, and hopefully we can help you put some money, okay, where your bananas or your fantasy draft picks are. So let's get into our first team of the day, the San Francisco 49ers. All right, here's the deal. Okay, really bad year last year for the San Francisco 49ers. That's just a fact. Okay, they finished the year 6-11 in last place in the NFC West. Now, for those that follow the National Football League, I would say at least for the last 5 years, you head into each football season believing that the San Francisco 49ers are one of the top 6 teams in the league and one of the favorites for a lot of people to be competing for a Super Bowl. Well, last year, it was the exact opposite, okay? The 49ers were bad. They dealt with a lot of injuries, and a lot of things just didn't go their way. And it all started in training camp with holdouts, which have felt like they've been going on each of the last 3 years for San Francisco, this year being Jawan Jennings. We'll get to that in a second. So what's happened in the offseason? And what's it going to look like in 2025? Well, I think it's going to be better, though on paper, they lost a lot. First, on the offensive side, the most important loss for this 49ers team is Deebo Samuel, who is now a Washington football team commander. Okay, so a player that could line up at wide receiver, line up at running back, line up at slot. Heck, he could probably play quarterback for you. He could play so many positions on the field. He was such an asset to this San Francisco 49ers team. You lose him, okay? And this was a solid offense last year. That's a huge person to replace. On the defensive side, there are 3 names that the 49ers lost that have been huge for this team that are going to be very difficult to replace. Linebacker Dre Greenlaw, okay? Cornerback Travarius Ward, and safety Talanoa Hufanga, okay? All 3 of those dudes have anchored this Niners defense for a solid amount of time, and they're going to have to be replaced going into next year. So both sides of the ball are going to have some key losses. How have the Niners tried to patch up those losses? Well, first and foremost, Demarcus Robinson was signed to add to the wide receiver depth. As we mentioned before, Jawan Jennings, 1, coming off of injury, and 2, is apparently possibly going to hold out in camp with the 49ers because he wants an extension on his deal. But all things considered equal, you have Jawan Jennings, you have Demarcus Robinson. They signed Ricky Purcell and Jacob Cowing, whoever that is, to add to the wide receiver room. And then they added tight end Luke Farrell as well. He's more of a blocking tight end, but a nice compliment to George Kittle to get him off the field and allow him to be fresh. Some of the better moves that have been made by the Niners are adjusting their coaching staff. 2 key hires. Robert Saleh, former head coach of the New York Football Jets, returns as the defensive coordinator. He was the DC the last time, well, 2 times ago when the Niners were in the Super Bowl. And then Clay Kubiak, the son of Gary Kubiak, now the offensive coordinator for the 49ers. Last year, that offense finished 22.9 points per game. That was 14th in the league. 4th in the league with total yards at 376.3. 4th in the league in passing at 249.1. And 12th in the league at rushing at 127.2. And that 12th in the league in rushing comes on the heels of Christian McCaffrey being injured for majority of last year. When you look at those numbers, you say to yourself, okay, total yards they collect and the ability to pass the rock, top 5 in the league. However, rushing the ball and scoring the points, middle of the pack, something they have to clean up going into next season. Not going to be easy when Deebo's not on the field. On the flip side, the defense needs to get better in 2 categories: rushing and opponents' points per game. They were 29th in the league in opponents' points per game, giving up 25.6 points per game, and 18th in rushing at 124.6. Remember those defensive losses that the Niners had that we just discussed? They signed Luke Gifford. They signed Trey Brown. They signed Richie Grant as direct, let's go get people that can replace these really good players. Will they be the right answer? We'll find out. Finally, Christian McCaffrey coming off of the Achilles and PCL in 2024. So we'll see what he's like. A wide receiver that we did not mention was Brandon Ayuk, who is expected to miss early season games due to MCL and ACL recovery. You look at all of those numbers, you say to yourself, this is not a terrible 49ers team returning. They're not 6-11, but they're also probably not 11-6. And the final thing that I think is the biggest key, save this for the end. We could throw all those numbers out the window. We could throw any name on a jersey right now if the talent's comparable. But last year, the Niners gave the ball away 27 times. okay, in 17 games, and they only took the ball away 17. Okay, so they were minus 10 in the takeaway, giveaway department. Does not matter what your numbers say. Doesn't matter how great certain statistics are. If you are giving the ball up as an offense, 27th in the league, okay, of 32 teams, and you do it 27 times in 17 games, that is not a recipe for success. And on the flip side, if you can't find a way to turn the other team over, okay, 25th in the league with 17, it's really hard to shift the field, okay? So those two statistics right there tell you a lot about what happened with this 49ers team last season. All the predictions I am reading online have this 49ers team finishing somewhere around 9-8 or 10-7. Their playoff chances are at 53%, and their Super Bowl chances are at 1.7%. But at the end of the day, it comes down to, will the replacements on defense, okay, that they just signed be able to replace the key performers that left last season, and can they improve that rushing defense? Interior, can they handle the trenches? And linebacker-wise, can they come downhill and make plays? On the flip, where is the production coming from? Is Christian McCaffrey going to stay healthy the entire season? What does your wide receiver room look like? Who's your number one wide receiver? That's not named George Kittle, because they're going to be making sure that George Kittle is not the one to beat them. It's a really tough NFC West, okay? We broke down the Seattle Seahawks the other day. We're about to break down the Arizona Cardinals on the backside of this break. But when you look at this 4-team division, it's a slaughter fest, okay? I would call this the Walmart version of the AFC North, okay? Not as hard-hitting, not as grueling, but when you look at the talent that's on all 4 of these rosters, and you look and see how minimal the gap is between the team that would be presumed as the best team in the division and the team that isn't, in even last year's standings, you say to yourself, there's no clear-cut favorite in this conference. Should it be the 49ers? Maybe. Is it the 49ers? Absolutely not. And I think that is where you're going to see a lot of roller coaster. Who's in first place? Who's in second place? Can someone get a wild card from this division as the year goes on? We'll take a quick commercial break here. When we bounce back, okay, we'll be breaking down the Arizona Cardinals, okay? We'll be breaking down the Arizona Cardinals, and we'll bring you through the same type of statistics, okay? And just so you are aware, when this thing comes to an end, okay, meaning we finish a division, so on Tuesday, when we finish up the NFC West with the breakdown of the Los Angeles Rams, I am then going to give you a prediction on the completion of that division and maybe a little bit of what I think their records could be. All right. And by the way, we are going to hold serve on this till the end of the NFL season, and we will see how good the predictions were. I'm pretty much trying to take this at a simple view. What happened last year? Did this team make the necessary changes going into next year? And if you are a fan that wants to put something down on this team or has a vesting interest on this team, should you? And will they be good as you think? I have no idea. We'll break that down with the Arizona Cardinals after this break. The Rome Show, 12ozesports.com, broadcasting live on YouTube and X. Back after this.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Yeah, The Rome Show, 12ouncesports.com, broadcasting live on YouTube and X. We are on location in beautiful Long Beach Island, New Jersey. Ooh, man, if we could host The Rome Show here from every day, we would be living. Andrew Romanella, got you for the next 10 minutes or so. 32 NFL teams in 32 days. It is our training camp breakdown here on The Rome Show, and we are going to continue moving forward with the Arizona Cardinals, our third team to break down in the NFC West. Let's get started with their 2024 record. The Arizona Cardinals, a lot better last season than I think a lot of people expected. Now, I don't know if the Niners not being as good had something to do with that, and the 8-9 for Arizona looked a little bit better than people expected. Either way, a lot to build off of if you're this Arizona Cardinals team. Offensively, really good. 22.9 points per game, good for 12th in the league. Total yards, 11th at 358.2. Passing yards, 18th at 214.1. And rushing yards, 7th at 144.2. Over the offseason, a lot of moves were made for this Arizona Cardinals team in hopes of igniting three offensive players. One being number one overall pick last season for the Arizona Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr. I believe he had 885 receiving yards last season and about 8 touchdowns. Okay. And has to be the key for this team going into this season. How many times can we get this man in the end zone? 8 touchdowns. I was correct. On top of that, you have the two-headed monster of Trey Benson and James Conner running the football, and Trey McBride as a great tight end. Those 4 players are what this offense needs to benefit from. Those 4 players need to be keys for this offense's success long term. Kyler Murray needs to be the 5th best player in terms of those 4. And I don't mean, in terms of those 5, I don't mean he needs to be a bad quarterback. I mean, we don't need him running the rock more than the running backs. We don't need him not being able to make throws. That 5 set of players has been the key for Arizona and will be the key into this season. Adjustments from the coaching staff to exploit those 4 players' talent alongside Kyler Murray. However, it doesn't really matter if you can't play defense. And last year, defense wasn't great for the Cardinals. 15th in points per game at 22.6. 21st in total yards given up at 342.5. 14th in passing at 216.1, and 20th in rushing at 126.4. That wasn't the worst thing they did all season last year, though. They were brutal on the road, were the Cardinals, at 2-6. So it doesn't matter, okay, what you do. If you can't win on the road where half of your games are played, it's over. You're not a playoff contending team. On top of that, 16th in giveaways with 20 and 20th in takeaways at 17, much like we just talked about it with their NFC West foe, the San Francisco 49ers. The giveaways and the takeaways end up being a key factor when it comes to whether a team is good or not. Key additions for the defense for the Arizona Cardinals, edge rusher Josh Sweat, defensive tackle Calais Campbell, and defensive tackle Dalvin Tomlinson, that is the key, right? Defense. They also drafted Will Johnson and Walter Nolan in the draft to help bolster the defensive side of the ball. I think this Cardinals team should take a step up. I think this team should be beyond a 500 football team. But again, they have to be able to control the football, cannot be having so many giveaways, and they have to be able to travel on the road. And whatever game it is, whatever their identity is, they have to be able to travel on the road and play the ball that they're expecting to play, like their 6-3 at home record last year. Okay, because their differential was plus 21. However, the differential was like minus 30 on the road. Okay, clear, different team on the road, and have to be led by the defense, have to ignite those offensive players. So much talent on this team. I feel like we've been waiting 3 or 4 years for this whole thing to matriculate this offseason. It looks like the front office and coaching staff put a lot of effort into what can we do here. Can we adjust this thing? Do we have enough talent? Where are we at as an organization? And I think we can be really good. So Arizona Cardinals, we shall see. So we've broken down now in the NFC West, the Seahawks, the Niners, and the Cardinals. You know what that means. On Tuesday, we will be breaking down the final team in the NFC West, the Los Angeles Rams. Get us up on social media if you have any thoughts, vibes, or predictions when it comes to the National Football League. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been the Rome Show here on a Monday. Thank you very much for tuning in. We hope you're enjoying our 32 teams in 32 days. Back on Tuesday to finish the NFC West. Follow the social media, follow the mothership, and subscribe and share it with a friend, because that would be huge. Andrew Romanella, The Rome Show, 12ouncesports.com. See you tomorrow. Have an electric day. Peace.
Thank you for listening.
BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12-ounce sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 120Z and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sports book. And remember, always gamble responsibly.